Good morning. Me and Millie are out on our morning walk, and whoa, a bit bouncy. This little woodland is right behind my friend's house. Leaves are definitely starting to turn. Let's just have a little look, Millie.
Hello.
There we go. Okay.
So we are
In a busy outer London dormitory town, I suppose. Redhill is very much, commuter town. Train line is right next to this woodland, so you do hear trains rushing through. But it's lovely to have this literally behind the back garden. So it's a nice easy walk to take Millie. Oh, I think Millie's decided it's time for her morning business now. But pet sitting, for a lot of people, they see it as a way of travelling to exotic or unusual locations, which it certainly can be, certainly through sites like trusted house sitters. But I also think that pet sitting relatively close to home, and this week I'm only an hour away from home, actually gives you an opportunity. I'm just watching what Millie's up to. Gives you an opportunity to sort of explore places that you might regard as, a bit ordinary, and discover that even the most ordinary little towns do have some surprising aspects or history. So on this trip I have explored Reigate, which is a 4-minute train ride. I'd much rather jump on a train or on the bus than drive somewhere, especially around outer London where the traffic is quite heavy. And I just prefer to sit on a train or a bus and enjoy the view. Let's just have a look at how the trees are beginning to change. The weather has changed quite dramatically this week, certainly in the south of England. It was, I was away last week, but I know that at home and in Ireland where we were actually, the weather was beautiful and there was a mini heat wave here. This week it has been really wet and pretty unpleasant really. Yesterday we almost didn't make it out for a walk because it was just torrential, and then I found a little window in the weather and we headed out, and it was great as we went through these woods, but on the way back we got absolutely drenched to the skin. Didn't we, Millie? So here I am in Reigate, and I'm going to read from this description as I walk through the tunnel. Okay, let's give this a go. I'll probably paraphrase a lot. Reigate Tunnel is now officially recognised as Britain's oldest road tunnel, and it's thought by some to be the first purpose-built road tunnel in Europe. Reigate lies roughly halfway between the 50-mile route from London to Brighton, and in the days of horse-drawn transport, Reigate prospered from being an important stop along this route. Horse-drawn coaches making these journeys required teams of horses to pull them, and these horses were replenished at set stages, hence the term stagecoach. Reigate boasted many staging inns, complete with stables, horses, refreshments, and overnight accommodation. The first London to Brighton coach service was in 1787, and by 1821 there were over 40 daily services, and the journey took around 6 hours. Crikey. Right now, one sort of downside to this is that Reigate is at the bottom of a very steep hill, and when you arrive there was also the problem of getting around the town itself. The old castle mound sits right in the centre of the town, which meant having to come all the way around it with several sharp turns and steep inclines. With traffic at its peak in the 1820s, stagecoach operators
were beginning to look at alternative routes, so Reigate needed to up its game. The answer? Well, if you can't go round the mound in the middle of the town and you can't go over the mound in the middle of town, then you go through it. And that's exactly what they did 200 years ago. Okay, I'll leave that there, but as you'll have just seen, we've gone past an entrance for the Reigate Caves. Apparently they riddle the town centre, although in fact they're not caves, they're largely old sand mines. The castle mound overlooking Reigate town centre is composed of soft sandstone, and has been mined over several centuries. The castle has long gone, but the mound and many of its excavations still remain. They're only open on a limited number of Saturdays per year, and I've missed most of them, and one was the following weekend when I was there, so I won't get to see them, but maybe another time if I come to babysit again. Not babysit, dog sit. As you wander along the high street in Reigate, you come upon this little alleyway heading upwards with a sign for the castle grounds. And then what you see in front of you is a folly. There's nothing left of the original castle. And this folly was built in the 1800s, I believe. Now, as I was heading up, obviously there was quite a lot of noise. It didn't sound like it was just people passing by, and it was overhead. So after I'd done a little bit of filming around the ground level, I headed up to the higher level to see what was going on up there. And it transpired that there was an open-air theatre company setting up for a performance. I sincerely hope they were only doing a one evening performance, because the following day everything would have got washed away. We had absolutely torrential rain. But on this afternoon it was absolutely gorgeous, as can be seen by one or two of the guys with no tops on, lucky them. So yeah, I just sort of filmed around them and enjoyed watching them unloading, getting the set up and putting props out. That looks a bit heavy work, doesn't it? And oh yeah, and coming up here is one of my favourite props. I mean, heavens knows what the production was, but I rather liked the idea that there was a sheep in it. No real sheep, just this one sheep on a stand. But yeah, it was quite fun. Just sort of brought back sort of many memories of creating productions in a former life, when I ran performing arts classes and putting on shows, and it was always a sort of single woman effort on the whole, with a bit of input from older students and teachers, but yeah. And yes, I've sort of got a bit behind myself here, haven't I? This is the mound apparently going down to the Baron's Caves. I don't think anybody's going to get through that entrance there. I don't think I mentioned that the original castle was built in the 11th century, and then it was added to in the 13th century, and it was used during the Civil War, the time of Cromwell as well. There's nothing left of the original castle, but apparently there are very good earthworks, the castle earthworks, still around. And here now I'm heading over towards the moat and just took a little wander around to the other side, and I'll be back by the folly, I think. And up here you can hear the road traffic because it sort of comes up by one of the main roads that goes around Reigate at this point. And now back round to the entrance way to the folly. And here we can see that the folly was constructed in 1777. I noticed that there was some, what I think are council offices just up here. It's a lovely, lovely place to work and to stop for lunch.
It's a lovely little shot, I think, of the leaves beginning to change, and probably be over the next 2 months. Usually seems to be about the first week of November or so that you get the full glory of all the changing colours. It certainly has been for the last couple of years, so we will see what this autumn brings. And yeah, it definitely is autumn. Right, off we go, Millie. Let's keep going. Nearly home. I always feel the start of autumn is a very sort of poignant time, because much as I love spring and summer, I say poignant because it's like, you know, when you know something is ending, and although there's beauty in the changing season, it's that sort of sadness of knowing that, you know, the dark times are ahead, i.e. winter. And I do suffer in winter. I've always tended to I tend to get, you know, quite down in winter. So yeah, poignant is the word that I use for the beauty of autumn.
So that's goodbye from me for this video. Some of the editing's been a bit wonky. I hope you've enjoyed it anyway.